Most people see a woman living on her own and they write a story in their heads, a story of pity, of missed chances, of something being wrong. They see her quiet evenings and assume they are empty. They see her independence and call it a defense mechanism. But what if I told you they're reading the book upside down? What if her solitude isn't a sign of what she's missing, but a testament to what she's found? Stick with me, because the final truth I'm going to share won't just change your perspective. It will redefine your understanding of power, wholeness, and the kind of love that's actually worth having. First, let's get one thing straight. Being alone is a circumstance. Living in solitude is a craft. The world mixes these two up constantly. When a woman consciously unplugs from the endless cycle of dating, drama, and pleasing others, people raise an eyebrow. They think she's given up. But the reality is, she's just getting started. She has arrived at a place where the integrity of her own inner world is more valuable than the temporary validation of an outside voice. She doesn't need a hand to hold to prove she is worthy of being held. She already knows her own value. And that knowledge, that deep, unshakable self-possession, is the bedrock of true strength. When you stop outsourcing your happiness and start cultivating it from within, the entire landscape of your life transforms. You are no longer a half looking for another half. You are a whole, looking for another whole to share a universe with. She prioritizes her well-being. A woman who builds a life for herself isn't anti-love. She's anti-chaos. She's not closed off. She's discerning. She's learned that her energy is a finite, precious resource, and she will no longer allow it to be drained by emotional vampires or half-hearted efforts. The world taught her that if she isn't careful, people will take and take until nothing is left. So she stopped letting them. Instead, her mornings are a quiet ceremony. The sun paints stripes on her floor, the aroma of coffee fills the air, and the only sound might be a podcast that feeds her mind or the powerful hum of silence itself. She smiles not because a text message validated her existence, but because she is genuinely proud of the person she is crafting herself to be. There is a profound power in this cultivated stillness. It's a magic born from a friendship with herself, one deep enough to find joy without an audience. Every corner of her life is curated with intention. Her calendar, her living space, her social circle. These are not open for public auction. She is acutely aware of their cost. The mental clutter, the emotional burnout, the slow, insidious chipping away of self that comes from pouring into people who offer nothing in return. And she's decided the price is too high. It took years of painful lessons to get to this point, to a place where saying no to others feels like a resounding yes to herself. And now that she's here, she isn't going back. Her home is a physical manifestation of this inner clarity. The decor isn't a museum of past relationships, it's a gallery of her own soul. The art on the walls inspires her. The books on her shelves tell stories of resilience and discovery, and her journals are filled with the hard-won wisdom she's gathered from healing her own wounds. Even the clothes in her closet are a form of self-expression. Fabrics that feel good on her skin, colors that match her inner weather, styles that make her feel like the protagonist of her own life. Everything serves a purpose, either functional or beautiful. There is no room for filler. And yet, for all this careful curation, she is not cold, not even close. People often confuse her self-sufficiency with indifference. But those who are invited into her world know the truth. They feel the warmth. When she spends time with you, it is a conscious choice. Whether it's the laughter echoing in her kitchen as she shares a meal she's prepared, the focus in her eyes as she listens to your problems, or the comfortable silence she offers when words are not enough. It's all real. She gives with her whole heart when she chooses to give, which is why every interaction with her feels so nourishing. You will never find her faking interest out of obligation. If she is with you, she is truly with you. This isn't to say loneliness never visits, it does. It's a human emotion. Some nights, when the city outside is quiet and the only light is from her screen, she might see pictures of laughing couples and bonfire gatherings and feel a brief pang. A flicker of doubt, am I doing this right? Am I missing out? But then the wisdom returns. The desire for more should never be an excuse to accept less. Real love shouldn't feel like a compromise you have to shrink to fit into. It should feel like an expansion, a deep breath, something that adds to your world without demanding you subtract from yourself. Until she finds that, she is more than at peace right where she is. Her confidence can be a mirror that makes some people uncomfortable, especially men who are accustomed to a different kind of dynamic, one of chasing, fixing, and being the hero. She doesn't need a hero. She has learned to be her own, rescuing herself from her own limiting beliefs and past pains more times than she can count. So when they ask, "Why are you still single?" she might smile and say, "Perhaps I'm not. I've found the one I was looking for." Because she has found herself. She is her own safe harbor, her own champion. And once you've tasted that kind of profound self-love, it rewrites every rule. Her boundaries are now her sacred ground, not to be spiteful but to be sustainable. She has seen firsthand what happens when you let small disrespect slide, how they grow into resentment, how trust erodes, how two people can end up broken. So she communicates her limits clearly and early. No mind games, no breadcrumbing, no vague intentions. If you cannot honor her rules of engagement, you cannot be in her life. It's that simple. But for those who do, for those who see her strength and admire it, they unlock a loyalty that is fierce and unwavering. She will be your greatest ally, just don't ever ask her to betray herself in the process. The path to this place was not paved with ease. It was forged in fire. There were breakups that left her feeling hollowed out, friendships that fizzled under pressure, family members who worried she was running out of time. But through it all, one truth kept calling her back home to herself: she is worthy of more. Not in the future, not when she's fixed something, but right now, in this moment. That truth became her North Star, guiding her toward choices that nourished her soul instead of starving it. Now, she navigates the world with a different energy. She stands taller, her voice is clearer, her laugh is uninhibited. She takes calculated risks that push her toward her dreams. Maybe it's launching her own venture, booking a solo trip to a place where she doesn't know the language, or finally dedicating time to that creative project she'd always put on the back burner. Whatever it is, she does it with a spirit of courageous exploration. Failure is not a verdict to her, it's data. Every setback is a lesson, reinforcing her conviction that true growth only happens outside the comfort zone. People are drawn to this. Colleagues respect her focus. Friends admire her resilience. Strangers are struck by her presence. What they often don't witness is the work it took to get here, the therapy that helped her unpack societal conditioning, the affirmations she spoke to her reflection on days filled with doubt, the quiet nights spent processing her emotions instead of distracting herself from them. Becoming this version of herself was the hardest work she's ever done. And she would not change a thing. Because here is the secret: living alone is not about being in a state of lack. It is about creating a life so full of purpose, joy, and meaningful connection that a romantic partner, if they come, will be the beautiful addition, not the main event. Love is not diminished by her independence, it is magnified by it. A partner will not complete her, they will complement her. They will walk into a world that is already whole, vibrant, and thriving. And a dynamic built on that kind of mutual respect is infinitely more powerful than one built on need. So no, she is not waiting. She is building a foundation so strong that it can support the kind of love she's always deserved. And until it arrives, she is more than happy creating her own joy, dancing in her living room, getting lost in books, exploring the world, celebrating her friends, and nurturing the most important relationship of all, the one with herself. A woman who chooses herself is not just surviving, she is a masterpiece in progress. And that is a love story for the ages. She operates on a different frequency. Here's the part that gets lost in translation. That woman you see enjoying a meal alone, a book propped up beside her glass of wine, she could likely have a dozen men lighting up her phone at that very moment. A dozen notifications unread, a dozen casual invitations waiting, a dozen versions of you up. She isn't replying, not as a power play, but because none of those options feel resonant. None of them are in tune with the music of her life. She is not single due to a lack of options. She is single because she refuses to choose the wrong one. Society may try to frame being alone as a problem to be solved, but she knows the truth. Loneliness is not the real disease, settling is, and she will not trade her hard-won peace for chaos, her clarity for confusion, or her self-respect for crumbs of attention. Love is supposed to be an affirmation of your worth, not a constant negotiation of it. So until a man arrives who is ready to meet her there, she will remain exactly where she is, complete, sovereign, and profoundly herself. Love is not a new concept to her. She has known its dizzying highs and its crushing lows. She's been promised the world, only to be handed an empty box. She has given away parts of her heart, only to see them treated carelessly. Those experiences did not make her bitter, they made her a better investor. They taught her the value of due diligence, the fragility of trust, and the rarity of a true, equal partnership. So now when she considers love, she doesn't picture fireworks and grand, hollow gestures. She pictures consistency, respect, alignment. She pictures two people consciously choosing each other, day after day, especially on the hard days. Anything short of that is simply not a good investment. She is not afraid of being hurt again. That's not it at all. What she fears is the quiet tragedy of self-abandonment, the act of losing herself in someone else, of letting her own voice be drowned out by another's. She has witnessed too many brilliant women dim their own light to make others feel comfortable. abandon their ambitions to fit into a relationship that was always too small for them. That is a story she refuses to write for herself. If anything, her stance is the highest form of courage. It is the courage to wait for a connection that feels like a homecoming, not a compromise, a connection that amplifies her rather than contains her. Courage, she knows, is not the absence of fear, but the refusal to let fear make your decisions for you. Of course, loneliness can sometimes knock on the door, late at night when the house is still, during holidays when the world seems to be neatly paired off. In those moments, she might wonder if her standards are too high. But then she remembers wanting more doesn't mean you're asking for too much, it means you've stopped accepting too little. She deserves a partner who matches her effort, who sees her ambition as a fire to be stoked, not a threat to be extinguished. Someone who can celebrate her victories and hold her through her defeats without trying to control the narrative of either. Until that person appears, she prefers the company of her solitude to the ache of dissatisfaction. This mindset can be confusing to others. Friends might urge her to just get out there. Family might gently suggest she's being too selective. Even well-meaning colleagues might joke about her high standards, as if expecting respect and emotional availability is a radical act. But she remains unshaken. She knows what they've forgotten: you should not have to sacrifice peace for passion or stability for excitement. Real love offers both. The rest is just static. Her confidence can be intimidating to men who are used to women performing for their affection, chasing, pleading, and contorting themselves to be chosen. Those men expect her to play the game, to text first, to overlook inconsistencies, to make herself smaller to soothe their ego. But she has retired from that sport. She attracts, she doesn't chase. Her authenticity is her magnetism. The way she listens with her whole being, speaks her truth without apology, and laughs from her belly. There is no mask, no hidden agenda. And while that level of raw honesty might scare some away, the ones who are drawn to it, they are the keepers. Through her very presence, she communicates a powerful message: I am enough. Enough on my own, enough without your approval, enough without your validation. This energy creates a gravitational pull, drawing in people who get it, people who understand that loving her means championing her autonomy and meeting her on a level playing field. When someone finally enters her life on these terms, it will not be because she was incomplete. It will be because they both recognize the potential to create something magnificent together. And this person will not complete her. She is already a finished work of art. This person will complement her. They will bring colors she admires, textures she values, and perspectives that enrich her own. Together, they will be more than the sum of their parts. But here is the crucial point: she is not holding her breath. If it happens, beautiful. If it doesn't, also beautiful. Because her fulfillment is not contingent on another person. It begins and ends with her. So she continues to live a full spectrum life. She travels, she creates, she invests in her friendships, she builds her legacy. Each experience adds another layer of depth to her character, making her an even better partner for the right person. And if that person never materializes, that is also fine. She is already living a life that most only dream of, a life of purpose, passion, and profound self-love. A woman who refuses to settle doesn't just attract a better love. She becomes it. Her peace is her most valuable asset. She's learned a lesson that escapes most people their entire lives: inner peace has no price tag. Once you've truly tasted a life of quiet alignment, a life where your own mind is a sanctuary, you refuse to trade it for anything. Not for chaotic romance, not for ego battles, and certainly not for fleeting moments of intensity that leave you feeling depleted. Peace, for her, is not simply the absence of conflict. It's the powerful presence of harmony, the feeling of knowing who you are, what you need, and living in accordance with that truth. Once you've built a life on the foundation of self-respect and clarity, there's no going back. Relationships are no longer about filling a void, they are about adding to an already rich existence. Anything that threatens, that feels like a step backward, a betrayal of the hard work she's done. Relationships that create static in her spirit, terminated. No overthinking, no making excuses like, he's just going through a lot. Situations that are an energy drain, disconnected. She no longer has the capacity for lukewarm commitments or emotional dramas that masquerade as deep connection. A woman who lives alone has mastered the art of tending to her own space. Not just her physical home, but her mental and emotional landscape. Her home is a reflection of this. It's tidy, not from a place of obsessive perfection, but from a place of reverence. Wiping down the counters, making the bed, dusting the shelves. Each act is a small ritual of self-care. It's a way of honoring the sacred container she has built for her life. She knows that a cluttered environment creates a cluttered mind. There is a deep power in walking into your own home and feeling a wave of calm wash over you, a sense of rightness, of knowing you belong. Her space isn't cold or clinical. It's a cocoon. It's alive with personal touches that tell her story. Candles she loves, plants reaching for the sun, books with dog-eared pages. This is her universe, deliberately constructed and fiercely guarded. Because here is the fundamental truth: peace is not a mood, it is a discipline. It is a choice she makes over and over again, to prioritize what feeds her soul over what drains it. For her, this means setting boundaries without needing to justify them. It means saying no the moment something feels out of alignment. It means walking away from relationships that offer excitement but steal her serenity. Protecting her peace is not an act of selfishness, it is an act of survival. People who don't understand this may call her demanding or too intense, but she pays them no mind. Demanding is staying in a situation that demands you shrink. Intense is refusing to sacrifice your well-being for another's convenience. She is neither. She is simply intentional. If someone wishes to enter her world, they must first understand its rhythm. They must come in peace, with respect and emotional integrity as their offering. Drama has no place here. Passive aggression is spotted and shown the door. Inconsistent behavior and mixed messages are not tolerated. This is a non-negotiable term of entry. If you want access to her heart, you must also accept the responsibility of helping to protect it. That is what partnership looks like to her now, two people committed to being a sanctuary for each other, not a storm. And yet, these firm boundaries do not close her off. On the contrary, those who are granted access to her inner world discover a depth of connection that is profoundly rare. Conversations are easy because they are rooted in honesty. Laughter is frequent because there are no hidden tensions. Even silence is comfortable, a shared space of mutual understanding. In her presence, people feel safe, safe enough to be their true selves, to be vulnerable, to just be. That is the gift of a person who cultivates peace. It creates a space for others to find it too. But she did not wake up one day with this level of clarity. It was earned. It was earned through years of trial and error, of heartbreaks that felt like the end of the world. She's been in relationships where chaos was the baseline, where every conversation was a negotiation, where love felt more like a cage than a refuge. Each one of those experiences was a teacher, showing her exactly what she would no longer accept. Eventually, she had the revelation that peace was not something she could ask for from someone else. It was something she had to build within herself first, something that had to radiate from her core and become the filter for everything she did. Now her very presence is different. She moves with a quiet confidence that says, I am sovereign in this space. Strangers may read it as aloofness, but those who look closer see the gentleness beneath the strength. They see a deep appreciation for authenticity, a fierce devotion to balance, and an unwavering commitment to protecting the sanctuary she has built. Some days the chaos of the world tries to breach her walls. The stress of work, the weight of expectations, the pull of family drama. All of it can threaten her equilibrium, but she has developed a toolkit to protect herself. Meditation brings her back to her center. Journaling helps her untangle her thoughts. A walk in nature grounds her in something bigger than her own worries. These are not indulgences, they are essential maintenance for the life she has built. They are the support beams that keep her peace intact. When people ask her how she manages to be so happy alone, she just smiles. It's not complicated, she might say. I just choose my peace every single day. What she doesn't always add, but what becomes clear to anyone who knows her, is that choosing peace is an active, courageous verb. It requires saying goodbye to things and people you might even love if they threaten your harmony. It means holding your ground when others call you unrealistic. It means trusting that you are worthy of a life defined by serenity. In the end, this is what protecting your soul looks like. It looks like creating a life so in tune with your own values that anything out of tune is immediately noticeable. It looks like this woman waking up each day in a space that nurtures her, surrounded by an energy she has cultivated and navigating the world entirely on her own terms. She is not waiting for life to begin. She is already living it, one intentional, peaceful moment at a time. She has standards, not fortifications. People look at a woman like this and see a fortress, assuming her standards are walls built to keep the world out. They have it all wrong. She is not sealed off, she is simply selective. Her heart is not a barricaded castle, it is a protected garden. There is a vast difference, and she has learned it well. Walls are indiscriminate, they block the sun as well as the storm. Boundaries, however, are like a gate, they allow in what is nurturing and keep out what is harmful. That is precisely what her standards do. She is open, but she is not cheap. She is open to joy, to real connection, to moments of vulnerability that create unbreakable bonds. But she is selective about who is granted a front row seat to her soul. She no longer hands out pieces of herself like free samples because she knows their immense value. Every bit of energy she directs toward another person is an investment in her own well-being and her future. So why would she invest in anything less than a blue chip stock? Why would she entertain superficial connections when she knows the profound richness of depth? She doesn't do things by halves. If you are fortunate enough to earn her trust, you will witness a generosity of spirit that is boundless. But you must first demonstrate that you are a worthy steward of that gift. For her, love is not blind, it is clear-eyed. She loves with her whole being, but she does so with her eyes wide open. She knows that true love is not supposed to make you feel insecure or doubt your own mind. Real love holds up a mirror that reflects your best self back to you. This is why she approaches new relationships with such intention, seeking partners who can match her commitment, who meet her in the middle, who understand that effort is a two-way street. Love to her is not a transaction, it's a co-creation. It's two whole people coming together to build something beautiful, not one person endlessly giving while the other endlessly takes. She gives, but not to just anyone. This isn't about being stingy, it's about self-conservation. She learned the hard way that her generosity could be weaponized against her in the wrong hands. She has poured her loyalty into leaky vessels. She has given her effort where it was not appreciated. She has had her vision for a shared life dismissed by another's indifference. That chapter is closed. Now her gifts, her time, her care, her devotion are reserved for those who can recognize their value and reciprocate, and the gifts she brings are immense. A loyalty that is foundational, an effort that is consistent, a vision for life that elevates everyone around her. She doesn't boast about these qualities, she simply embodies them. She knows her own value, and she will not shrink herself for anyone who finds her light too bright. She is done accepting the bare minimum because she refuses to offer anything less than her absolute best. Attention without intention is just noise to her. Words without deeds are empty calories. Promises without any follow-through are not even on her radar. This is a woman who does not require constant external validation to feel alive. She doesn't need drama to feel passion. Her life is already vibrant because she built it to be that way with her own two hands and her own resilient heart. She finds fulfillment in her solitude, security in her independence, and profound joy in the passions that make her feel most like herself. Physical intimacy is not a currency for her. Desire is not measured by another's gaze. She feels desired because she desires herself. She feels loved because she loves herself. Anything that comes from the outside is a wonderful bonus, but it is not essential for her survival. Anyone who wants to be a part of her world must understand this fundamental truth. They will not be completing her. They will be complementing her. They will be adding a new, beautiful color to a canvas she is already painting, not trying to paint over her work. They must bring peace, not problems, purpose, not pointless distractions. She needs a partner who sees her strength and isn't intimidated by it, who respects her boundaries and is grateful for them, who matches her ambition and is inspired by it. Someone who can look at the life she has so carefully built and say, I want to help you protect this. Anything less and she will turn and walk away, and she will not look back, because walking away is no longer a painful act for her. It used to be back when she confused attachment with love. Back when she overstayed her welcome in situations that were slowly killing her spirit. Back when she believed that another person's presence was required to validate her own. But now, leaving feels like liberation. It is not an act of fear, it is an act of freedom. The freedom to choose herself again and again. The freedom to make her peace the highest priority. The freedom to say, our values do not align, and that is okay. I wish you the best, but I will not sacrifice my well-being for you. People may misread this selectiveness as arrogance or coldness. They might label her intimidating or unapproachable, assuming she is too proud. But those who have earned a place in her life know the reality. She is warm, she is generous, she is loyal beyond measure. What she is not is gullible. She has seen enough of life to recognize a red flag from a mile away. She has been hurt enough to know the critical importance of protecting her own heart. Not from a place of fear, but from a place of profound wisdom. Her standards are not a rejection of others. They are an invitation to the right ones. Think of it as a velvet rope at an exclusive club. It's not there to be mean, it's there to preserve the quality of the experience inside. Only those who can respect the rules, honor the vibe, and add to the energy are let in. Everyone else moves on, naturally and without drama. It is not personal, it is preservation, it is the art of thriving. Ultimately, having standards is not about who you exclude. It's about who you include in the sacred space of your life. It's about creating a reality so aligned with your truth that anything inauthentic feels immediately out of place. This woman does not build walls to keep love out. She sets standards to ensure that when love enters, it is the right kind. And when you are finally welcomed into her world, you understand what a profound privilege it is. Because to be chosen by her is not just to be loved. It is to be honored. She knows her own price. You cannot shame a woman who has made peace with her own company. You cannot guilt trip her into lowering her standards when she knows her own value. There is a quiet authority in how she moves through the world, a deep-seated certainty that comes from within. It is not pride, it is profound self-awareness. She has done the hard work of excavating her own worth, and once she found it, the entire game changed. The world stayed the same, but her relationship to it was transformed. The old rules no longer had any power over her. The moment she understood that her value was not determined by her relationship status, she became free. For years, the world had been whispering to her that her worth was measured by her ability to be chosen, that finding a partner was the ultimate prize. But she tuned out that noise. She began to look inward for answers instead of outward for approval. And what she found in the quiet depths of her own being was a revelation: she is enough. Exactly as she is. Not enough for now, not enough until someone better comes along, just simply enough. This realization was her liberation. She doesn't need to be in a couple's photo to feel cherished. She doesn't need a good morning text to feel seen. Her validation is now an inside job. It is forged in the small sacred promises she keeps to herself. The morning she gets up to meditate, the evening she spends lost in a good book, the weekends she dedicates to exploring something new on her own. It grows stronger every time she navigates a challenge, not perfectly, but with persistence. This kind of self-love is not an indulgence. It is the very engine of her life. It is the act of choosing herself day after day, even when the world is telling her to choose something else. This kind of woman doesn't mourn her single status. She celebrates it, because it was in her solitude that she finally met herself. Being alone was the mirror that showed her who she was without the reflection of another person's expectations. In that space, she learned what makes her laugh uncontrollably, what books and songs speak to her soul, what dreams are truly her own. She discovered her non-negotiables and her deepest passions. Being single was not a waiting room. It was the training ground where she became her own best friend and her own staunchest defender. And when you truly know who you are, a magical thing happens. You lose all tolerance for what is not for you. You stop investing your precious time in people who treat you like an option, who consider your feelings a footnote, who see your needs as an inconvenience. You recognize the red flags for what they are: inconsistent communication, vague commitments, lukewarm energy, and you either address them directly or you walk away. Because why would you accept a mediocre life with someone else when you are already committed to building an extraordinary one for yourself? Knowing your worth fundamentally changes your presence. It changes how you stand, how you speak, how you occupy a room, and people feel it. Some are intimidated. They are accustomed to women who will bend and shrink to make them comfortable. But she stands in her full height, unapologetically taking up her space. She speaks with clarity, listens with presence, and loves with wisdom. When she walks into a room, she doesn't demand attention. She commands respect. Respect for her time, her energy, and her spirit. Men can sometimes mistake this confidence for a lack of interest, as if her self-reliance means she has no room for them. But need and want are two different universes. She does not need a partner to feel complete. She is already a complete circle, but she may want a partner to share her life with, at the right time and on the right terms. If a man wants to be in her life, he must first see her value and honor it. He must celebrate her light, not try to put a lampshade on it. He must understand that loving her means championing her independence, not trying to curb it. Anything less than that is a non-starter. Her worth is not a topic for negotiation. It is a fact. People still try, of course. Friends might suggest she's being too picky. Family might worry she's aiming too high, but their opinions are like water off a duck's back. Why would they stick? She spent years of her life dismantling the lies she was taught about her own value, and she has the receipts to prove her worth. She has earned her confidence through her own resilience, her own breakthroughs, and her own relentless pursuit of self-knowledge. No one's casual opinion can undo that sacred work. Sometimes she reflects on the past versions of herself. The girl who ignored her intuition, the young woman who tolerated disrespect, the person who confused codependency with love. She feels a deep compassion for them, for how far she has come. But she doesn't live in the past. She uses that gratitude as fuel, continuing to grow and evolve. Every single experience, the good and the painful, was a stepping stone to becoming the woman she is today, strong, whole, and free. In the end, knowing your worth is not just about rejecting what is wrong for you. It's about fiercely, joyfully saying yes to yourself, to your dreams, to your passions, and above all, to your peace. It's about building a life so full and so true that anything that doesn't belong simply falls away. This woman doesn't settle because she doesn't have to. She has already created a world where she is the main character, and if someone wants to be her co-star, they had better be ready for a leading role. Until then, she's perfectly happy with her own company. And that truly is more than enough. She is building an empire, not waiting for a rescue. She is not sitting by the window waiting for a savior to arrive. She is far too busy being the architect of her own life. Her career is her creation, built one success, one lesson, one new skill at a time. Her body is her temple, cared for not to attract the gaze, but to house her own powerful spirit and energy. Her mind is her sanctuary, fortified with knowledge, curiosity, and the hard-won wisdom of experience. And her future, it is not some distant shore she hopes to wash up on. It is a structure she is actively, intentionally building, brick by brick. Her love life is not on hold. It is simply not the only thing on her agenda. People see that she's single and they project their own fears onto her. A fear of being alone, a desperation for connection. They could not be more mistaken. She is not desperate for a hero. She has already performed her own rescue, from bad relationships, from limiting beliefs, and from the societal myth that her value is determined by a +1. She doesn't need a knight, she's got her own armor, and it fits her perfectly. The truth is, she desires love. Of course she does. Love, when it's right, is one of life's greatest experiences. Its partnership, its growth, its shared joy. But here is the critical distinction: she will not accept it at any cost. Not at the cost of her mental health. Not at the expense of her dreams. She knows what the wrong kind of love can do. It can act like a thief, stealing your time, your energy, and your self-esteem. She refuses to let anyone demolish the foundation she has worked so diligently to construct. So, she will wait, because she knows the wrong partner will cost her years of her life. Years she could have spent growing, creating, and thriving. It's a price she is unwilling to pay. This is the source of her patience. This is the root of her focus. Patience, for her, is not passive. It's an active choice to prioritize her own path over any and all distractions. Her focus comes from a deep knowing of who she is and what she is building. It's the discipline of keeping her eyes on her own goals, whether that's a professional achievement, a personal milestone, or simply the daily maintenance of her own inner peace. She does not see time as an enemy. Time is her collaborator. What she fears is not the passing of time, but the wasting of it on the wrong things. She doesn't fear being single. She fears being with someone who makes her feel more alone than she ever did on her own. She fears a partnership that holds her back instead of lifts her up. That is the fundamental difference. When people ask if she worries about missing out, she just smiles. Missing out on what exactly? On settling for a relationship that doesn't feel right. On investing her precious energy in someone who doesn't see her value. No thank you. She is far too busy creating a life she loves to mourn a life she doesn't want. She wakes up with a plan, moves through her day with intention, and goes to sleep with a sense of accomplishment. There is no space for regret in a life lived with such purpose. And yet, for all her focus, she remains profoundly open to love. Not with the desperate energy of someone hoping to be chosen, but with the quiet confidence of someone who is ready to choose. If the right person appears, someone who matches her integrity, respects her autonomy, and shares her vision for life, she will welcome them with an open heart. They will not be her other half, she is already whole. But they will be her partner, adding a new dimension of joy to a life that is already rich. Together, they will build something even greater. But until then, she is perfectly content to keep building on her own. Here is what truly sets her apart: she views her singleness as a strategic advantage, not a personal failure. It gives her the time and space to grow without distraction, to dream without compromise, and to explore the world on her own terms. She takes solo trips and discovers who she is in new places. She nurtures friendships that challenge and inspire her. She dedicates herself to hobbies that bring her pure joy. Each of these experiences makes her a more interesting, more grounded, and more whole person, and therefore an even better partner for when the right person comes along. But again, if that person never arrives, she's okay with that, because she's already living a life she is proud of. Some men are intimidated by her ambition, her clarity, her refusal to play the games they're used to. They are accustomed to women who will chase them, who will make excuses for them, who will shrink to fit. She no longer operates that way. When she chooses a partner, it will be from a place of strength and desire, not neediness or fear. Those who are intimidated by her confidence simply self-select out of her orbit. Good. She doesn't have the time or energy for anyone who cannot meet her at her level. Because here is the secret: she is not waiting for her life to start. She is in the middle of it, living it fully. One accomplishment, one adventure, and one moment of radical self-love at a time. She is writing her own story, and the plot is compelling. If someone wants to be written into her narrative, they will have to be worthy of it. They will have to bring their own magic to match hers. Anything less and she will politely wish them well and continue building her queendom. In the end, she is not afraid of being alone. She is afraid of being with someone who makes her forget her own strength. She is not afraid of being single. She is afraid of being in a relationship that dims her own light. And that single distinction changes everything. Because while so many people spend their lives searching for love, she is busy becoming a person worthy of the great love she deserves. And when it finally finds her, it will recognize her immediately. She's not alone, she's in alignment. There is a profound difference. Being alone can imply a lack, a separation. Being in alignment means you are connected to yourself, to your values, to your purpose. Society uses alone and lonely as synonyms, but she has learned they are not even related. Loneliness is the painful feeling of being disconnected from yourself and looking for something or someone outside to fix it. Alignment is the quiet, powerful hum of being so deeply connected to your own core that you feel whole with or without anyone else. For her, solitude is not about pushing the world away. It's about pulling herself together. It is an act of integration, of gathering all the scattered pieces of herself and making them one. She's not lonely, she's highly selective. Selective with her time, her energy, and above all, her heart. People can mistake this for being distant or cold, but they are missing the point. She has learned that the quality of her connections is far more important than the quantity. A few deep, authentic relationships are worth more to her than 100 superficial ones. She'll choose a meaningful conversation over idle gossip, a comfortable silence over forced chatter, and mutual respect over empty flattery every single time. When she invites you into her life, it is a sacred act. It's because you've earned a place there, not because she had a vacancy to fill. She's not cold, she's wise. And wisdom is the scar tissue of experience. Heartbreak taught her what she's made of. Disappointments taught her what truly matters. Failures taught her how to get back up. Each lesson refined her understanding of love, of life, and of herself. Now she moves with an inner warmth that is protected by a layer of caution. She no longer wears her heart on her sleeve for just anyone to handle. It is kept safe, but it is not locked away. It is open to those who prove they can be trusted with it. This wisdom doesn't make her unapproachable, it makes her intentional. Every word, every choice, every action is deliberate and rooted in her truth. She is not anti-romance, she is pro-peace. Love, to her, is not a war zone, it is a garden. And if anything enters that garden and starts to trample the flowers, it's not love, it's an invasion. Drama is not passion. Chaos is not connection. She will not mistake one for the other. Her peace is the soil from which everything else in her life grows. It is her highest priority, her guiding principle. Without it, nothing else can flourish. With it, everything else falls into place. Love will be welcome, but only if it comes in peace. Only if it adds to her sanctuary and never threatens to burn it down. That is the one rule that is not up for negotiation. This woman moves through the world with a quiet grace, not because her life is without challenges, but because she has learned to find comfort in her own stillness. Silence is not empty to her, it is full. It is the space where she can finally hear her own voice, clear and undistorted by the opinions of the world. In that quiet, she finds her strength, her clarity, her truth. She learns to trust her own guidance system, to honor her own decisions. The world can pull and push, but she remains anchored in her own center. She doesn't run from the quiet, she runs to it, for that is where her power resides. Her power is not loud, it is the steady, unshakable knowledge that she does not require anyone else's approval to exist, while still remaining open to a partnership that elevates her. It is the conscious choice of solitude, not from a place of fear, but from a place of deep self-knowledge. It's the recognition that the right kind of love will not ask her to be smaller. It will inspire her to be even more of who she already is. And here is the beautiful paradox: the person who is truly right for her will not disrupt her silence. They will understand it, they will respect it, they will even join her in it. They won't see her independence as a rejection or her quiet nature as a lack of interest. Instead, they will admire her for having built a world so peaceful within herself, knowing that this peace will be the foundation of their life together. They will build something incredible, not from a place of need, but from a place of mutual admiration. Until that day comes, she is perfectly content in her alignment, trusting the timing of her own life. Because ultimately, being aligned is the greatest gift you can give to yourself and to anyone who has the privilege of being in your life. When you know who you are and what you stand for, you stop seeking and you start attracting. This woman isn't waiting for a partner to rescue her. She has already rescued herself. And when the right person does arrive, they won't change her. They will simply recognize her. They will join her in her alignment, creating a harmony that is beautiful to behold. In the meantime, she walks her path with grace and unwavering faith. Faith in herself and faith in her journey. Being alone is not the absence of love, it is the presence of alignment. And in that alignment, she has found everything she will ever need. let me leave you with the one thing nobody ever says out loud. The woman who lives alone, the one building her own life, she is not falling behind. She is miles ahead. She is ahead of the gut-wrenching pain of ignoring your intuition, ahead of the heartbreak that comes from trying to force something that isn't meant to be, and ahead of the soul-crushing chaos that derails so many from their true path. This isn't just a nice thought. It is a fundamental truth that is often whispered when it should be shouted. She did not choose to be lonely. She chose to be clear. And let's be honest about what that means. Clarity is not a trait our society encourages. We are constantly shown images of what our lives should look like, complete with timelines for love, marriage, and happiness. Clarity is the radical act of choosing yourself over that pressure. It is deciding that your inner peace is more important than fitting into a pre-approved mold. It is understanding that waiting for what is right for you doesn't mean you are flawed. It means you are brave. And that kind of bravery is a rare and powerful thing. Just think about it. How many people do you know who are staying in relationships or situations that have long since expired, simply because the thought of leaving is too daunting? How many accept crumbs of affection when they are starving for a feast of respect? Far too many. But the woman who walks her own path knows that her own company is a treasure, and she refuses to trade treasure for trinkets. So if you are that woman walking alone right now, I have one message for you: keep going. Keep building your world. Keep protecting your peace as if it is the most precious thing you own. Because it is. You are creating something sacred, even if it doesn't match what you see on social media. Maybe you're mastering a new skill, building a business, or nurturing friendships that feel like sunshine to your soul. Whatever it is, do not stop. Every step you take is proof that you are on the right path, no matter what anyone else thinks. Now, here is the part about love that gets left out of the fairy tales. The love that you are making space for is not just about romance. It is about respect, deep, unwavering respect for your journey, your boundaries, your dreams, and your imperfections. Real love arrives as an equal. It doesn't try to save you or fix you. It honors the masterpiece you already are and simply wants to stand beside it, admiring the view. When it finally comes, and believe me, it won't feel like a rescue. It will feel like coming home. Not because you were lost, but because it recognizes the home you have already built within yourself. Think about it this way: wouldn't you rather wait for a partner who sees your strength and is inspired by it, instead of one who is intimidated by it? Wouldn't you prefer a love that celebrates your freedom rather than trying to contain it? Of course you would, because at its core, true partnership isn't about finding someone to fill your gaps. It's about finding someone who reminds you that you were never broken to begin with. Here's another truth to hold on to. Living alone does not mean being isolated. Some of the most powerful women I know have woven incredible communities around themselves, support systems of friends, mentors, and chosen family who cheer them on. They have learned that a thriving life does not depend on a romantic partner. It depends on meaningful connection, wherever you find it. So while the world is fixated on couples, these women are busy cultivating lives that are rich with purpose and joy. And the amazing thing is that happiness is magnetic. It draws in people, including potential partners who are vibrating on the same frequency. But let's be real. There will be hard moments, nights when you feel a pang of doubt, days when the pressure to settle feels heavy. In those moments, I want you to remember this: you are planting a garden. Every day, you are planting seeds of self-respect, resilience, and faith in your own journey. Those seeds are growing into something magnificent, even on the days you can't see the progress. Trust that process. Trust yourself, because the secret no one tells you is that the best things in life are rarely the easiest or the quickest. They arrive after you have said no to 1,000 lesser things, after you have stood firm in who you are, and after you have learned to treat your solitude as a sacred space for growth. Love, real, transformative, soul-deep love, is no different. It waits for the person who refuses to settle. And when it finds you, it will feel like the most natural thing in the world, like coming home to a part of yourself you always knew was there. So, to the woman who is reading this, navigating her life on her own terms, you are not behind, you are not failing, you are a pioneer. You are forging a path that values authenticity over approval and substance over superficiality. Keep walking. Your future self is already thanking you for every boundary you held, every compromise you refused, and every dream you had the courage to follow. And when love does arrive, it will knock gently on your door, ready to meet you exactly where you are. It will honor your journey, celebrate your strength, and add to your story without trying to rewrite it. And in that moment, you will realize the most profound truth of all: you were never waiting to be saved. You were preparing to be met.